Hello. Today I kind of want to show a nerdy side of my. I made this website over 10 years. I use it quite a bit. I've got this system that I developed to where it tracks everything that I do in the game. So if I look into like this particular run, I had 4 globals. Here's the screenshots. It's got all of my weapon enhancer stuff. It's got all the data on what loot I got, what missions completed, what skills happened, how many, what the total amount of skill was. This is showing all the different damage, total damage done, crits, evades, misses, mob hits, all that kind of stuff. The DPS of the weapons. So it goes every minute. It will keep track of stuff. So it's good. It's pretty neat how it works out. And then I've got all the tracking for the different mobs. So if I look in here, this is the Annihilation Zombie. These are all the different globals associated with it. This is some of the loot that I've found while I've hunted with it. Here's an example of one of the hunts that I did. And then I've got all these other mobs that I've got. I don't know why that didn't update to that, but so this is Yucca. This is a different mob, or like let's say Cadra. This is where I go into there and I could say, okay, that back then I hunted all this. I didn't have everything tied in when I did this particular run, whenever it was back in 2019. So not all these features were coded yet, but it had kind of the same. It kind of grabbed a lot of the basic information. At least know what my running totals are for whatever, and then I could search by day and see, okay, this is a Hatton run that I did, and that's a global for that run. Or if I did this one, there's a global on that run. Or if I go to this date, there's a global on that date. This one's got a bunch of different globals from a couple different hunts in hell. So it's got a lot of data, and that's just hunting. There's a mining tracker as well, and the mining tracker I'm actually pretty proud of because I figured out a way to get it figures out all of the claims that I've got. So I've got Listerium, Aqueak, Iron. If I wanted to see, okay, what is iron used for, it shows all the blueprints, most of them, not all of them. It's hard to update all this stuff with they keep adding things. But you can go to like Killian Sword and it'll say, okay, you need iron, beryllium, angelic flakes. It's 454 ped per click. This is the amount you need. If you wanted to go up to 10 clicks, you're going to need 45 ped of stuff, and this is the total amount, that kind of thing. So it's helpful there. But one of the cool things that I did is I made a couple of the planets that I've made some dynamic maps. So basically, if I show the claims for this run, which was that list that we just saw, this is where I found it, is way up here. So it grabbed the longitude, latitude, it put it on the map, and then I've got the database that compares it to this and then puts it appropriately, which was a really fun challenge because it's really kind of hard to make your own map system that's accurate with the coordinate system when you don't really. I mean, there's some math to try to figure out like by pixel where all this stuff lines up on a map. So it was a real fun project, but it's also got like instances, all these different instances. If you click here, copy, paste into the game, you've got a waypoint. It's got different shops. They're all in the one area on there on the red. I've got all the different NPCs. This is all of the mining that I've done on the planet. So you can see that I've kind of been everywhere, mapped it all out, which is generally what I do. And that's one of the things that's tricky about mining is if, you can mine all over the place, but if you're not keeping track of it, remembering where you went for every little thing is so impossible over time. Because as you can see, this is months worth of me going out every day mining stuff. And then you have a pretty good idea once you do that of where everything drops. So if you wanted to find stuff, so if I go to my mining list here and I wanted to look for, let's say I want to look for Regilite. So it's going to show me everywhere I found Regilite. I found it in Tulane, I found it in Arcadia, I found it on Outback Land 31. So it gives you a good idea of where you can go to find things. And then once you check into this, you can see, okay, what else is there? There's Canarium over there. There's Regulite. There's Gas. There's Belcar. There's Beryllium. It shows what I used. So in this particular thing, I used level 2 SGA unlimited amplifier with my F106. So it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what depth is. The other thing is you can search by the tool. So I've got all the different finders that I've got in database. So if I've got a MD40 on DSEC, that's what I've got on the data for there. Here's all the F106 data, which is showing like a $400 profit out of the 184 tracked runs, because it adds up all the markup, all that kind of stuff. If I want to look it up by amp, so I've got a lot of runs with this level 2. I've got a lot of runs with like a level 8. And then it kind of keeps track of where you're at on that type of amp. So if you're doing pretty good with it, like D class is always pretty good for me. But like a level 9 is generally not going to be, or level 13, for example, doesn't always show green. I don't really run it that often, as you can see. The bigger amps are a little bit harder to get a profit on, just because they're, at least for me, when I run it in hell or things like that, it can hurt really quick. But it's got all kinds of information on this website. It's a little bit of a different way of doing things for sure. I've even got like a manual. Like if I wanted to start a new hunt here, it's pretty easy to do it to where you can say, okay, I'm on Rocktropia. I've got 2 different mobs that I'm hunting in an area. These are the mobs. I've got some Aetherics and I've got Argonauts. And then if I want to put a team name, I can. But I basically just start with, okay, I've got 2,000 pet of ammo. And then, so here's my hunting. So it's basically started one through the website. I've got this started. Now I can also do it in game where I just type something and it starts the same thing. But now with this open and basically saying that it's in progress over here, this means that if I were to log in and start hunting, all the data starts collecting for this particular run until I end it. And so if I was to say, okay, let's go ahead and end the hunt, then it's basically going to ask me all the different things that I need to know, like the weapon decay, which you can get off of the repair window. And then you've got your L weapon value, your universal. So you enter the total amount here. So I've got 190 left. And then I've got 100, I've got like 1,800 pet of loot. So let's say my total decay was 2250. Mind force decay was 1265. Armor decay was like, I don't know, let's say 567. And then the weapon decay is whatever that's tool decay, not total decay. So if I, the weapon decay, let's say it's 5635. So then we'd send this. And so it basically will finish it out. And it says it's in progress, but it finished it out. So it says here now it's finished. Here's my total profit and loss. So it's basically saying I had my ammo cost minus my decay cost is my overall cost. Total loot was 1,800, so I'm down 8467, which is basically my decay, plus a little bit of loot. So without actually tracking all of this, without actually having a tracker, you can still get an idea, if you were to log into this site and just start tracking stuff that way, on where your running totals are, over time, how you do on Argonaut and things of that nature. Now, you're not going to get all the loot data. You're not going to get all the DPS stuff, because that requires this. It requires this program that I've got, that I've made. It requires the client to be able to give all that information to my databases live. So that's what this does, and it's got the machine learning. There's a window recognition set up to where if I wanted to kind of define all these different windows. I could use something to where it does, you can see all the windows there are unedited, to where if once it's all done, then it basically, this is the modified screenshot where it blocks all the right things. It blurs the chats if you want it to, but then it sends this to the server. So then I've got records of all this stuff without having to give up my private chats of like, hey, so and so's an asshole, and then they see it and they're like, oh, you said I was an asshole in your screenshot. Well, they won't be able to tell anymore. And it's got like you can search, like let's say I'm looking for igni. You could search, you could do a keyword for igni, and it'll highlight every chat in the game that somebody's talking about igni, and then you can find out, okay, well, what percentage is the best offer of the day. You can go back and research, okay, who was that guy that was selling it? I'll look him up and private message him and make him an offer, whatever it is. So it's really kind of it's been a long time coding all of the different things involved between the website and the client and the databases and all that kind of stuff. But it is something I'm pretty proud of. There's so many different things that I've added in here over the years. One of the cool things that I did was this mob graphic, which if you, let's say Aetherix. So this is just kind of like a live thing that I coded, which is kind of neat, where it will, depending on where you put the slider, it puts the danger level up there. It shows you the damage, the total impact. So there's 100% impact mob, but like Argonaut is 75% impact, 25% cut. Let's see, Atrax is going to be stab, impact, cut, 33% each. So then it shows you how much damage that is, and then you can kind of divide out. It's going to be 20 damage for each of these damage types. You can play in your armor a little bit better. It's 510 hit points, that kind of thing. So there's all kinds of different little tools that I've made over the years to kind of help with stuff. And then it's also got kind of like a backup wiki from a long time ago. From 2018 was the last update that I did, and I've modified some of them in the database just because the wiki's not always right. So tools that I use that I've fruit tested, things like that nature, I've kind of updated to be more accurate. But you got to use wiki with a little bit of because anybody can modify it, especially high priced items. They'll put in, it has a little bit more DPP than other guns, when really it doesn't work that way. You could put in whatever DPP it is, but it's more based on your skills and your buffs on what your total DPP is actually going to be. So one person who's buffed to the gills, who does a recording of it, and they show a really high DPP on the weapon, it looks good on paper, and you think, oh, okay, I'll go spend $10,000 on a virtual weapon because it's supposed to be this good, and then you get it and you don't really do that good. It's because you're not using the same buffs to get that same level of efficiency and all that stuff out of it. So it's the complications of the game, and how complicated it is, and how overall all the different variables involved is why I've kept doing this all the years, because it's the perfect data set to try to mess with databases and all that stuff, which is kind of the whole point of this, is just learn how to do it. I started this with Hello World, and all this stuff I kind of created on my own. But it's got like crafting hofs, it's listing all the hofs. When my tracker's running and I'm logged in, it'll track everything. Of course, when I'm not logged in, it won't track everything. But like this person, Taurus Silver Ring globaled on a Rextilium while I was on there last for 68 ped. And then, so there's a Hoff for a zombie from Julius Goodman, so it keeps track of everything. There's other fame on here like pristine elements, Makeda helmet, the different rings. Like somebody found a military. There's a rare mayhem token somebody found. So it keeps track of, like I say, everything. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to go over. I'm pretty proud of this website. Anybody's free to use it. It's got some basic tracking that you can do from the website, and you can kind of still keep things. So like this is my F105 setup, and you can kind of add, if you wanted to remove, there's a, what is the amp on here? It's a level 2 amplifier, unlimited. So let's say we remove that. So now we've got no amp on it. So that's the setup there. If you were to add a new finder set, you just basically select whatever finder it is that you're using. It should grab most of the information, and then you select whatever refiner you're using, your extractor, and it should grab all this information from the database. And so you can add new set. So now it's Rocktech Cougar, which is down here. So this way it keeps track of if you've got different tools, things of that nature. If you want to add an amp on here, it's real easy. You just select, okay, I'm going to use the level 8 limited. And then you've got 1 amp on there, so you add it, and boom. So it's got the 160 ped worth of level 8 on there. And there's no tiers yet, but as it does it, it should automatically update it if you're running the tracker. But if it's not, then it's at the end, you're done. You can modify it at the end here. So this is like all the different areas you can go to. Wilderness is generally like Arcadia Wilderness is just kind of anywhere that's not a land area, or anywhere in hell. So let's say we went to hell. We set this finder to the form, so we're using a Rocktech finder, and then we set our ammo. So we're just starting with 114 peds of mining probes, and then we send that off, and we've got a new in progress manual web tracked claims. And then when you're done with the run, you can go in here and you can say, okay, the ped now is 44, and the finder is 0.08 or 0.8. We didn't use any enhancers, so there's that. If you wanted to use enhancers, you can select what the enhancers are, and then the end value of the probes. Let's say we've got 20 ped probes left, so we submit these. Now we can go into how many ore types did you get, what is the ore. So let's say I've got a creekite, and well, we're in hell. So let's say I've got Belcar and I've got folk. And then you could either do the raw amount, so you've got 112 or 122 stones, or you can do the refined amount, which is 20. Let's say it's 25 and there's 1 left. Or you could put in the ped value. But if you add the ore data here, it will total out the ped value. So you can see here it's 10.98 without putting it. It will tell you what the refined is and then what the raw amount is. So it's 3.66, and the raw amount of 122 ends up being like, what is that, 732. And then, or you could put in here that you've just got 2354 of whatever the total ped value is, and then it'll break it down to say you've got 1 raw and 135 ignites for that total amount. I think that's right. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so you could do also the end matters. So let's say you found that, you found this, and let's say you did 12, 56, or 15, and you could just add those in, and then you can be done. And so it'll come down here and kind of give you an idea of your folk and your Belcar and wherever else we found. It'll break it down like, here's your one raw, here's your basis, here's the total value for 27 PED with the markup. Here's the raw of 122, which is worth 366. My math might be wrong on some of those. I don't know. I might have to double check that. But you can also, what are they used for? Folk is used for these different things on Rocktropia. Belcar is used for all these different things. So it's pretty handy. You can still use it without having the client that it works. It's ready to go, but it's kind of ugly, and I don't really see it as like a publishable product. I wouldn't want to buy. I wouldn't want to download something that's kind of half-assed like that. So I just haven't released it, just because, even though it works, it's not as clean as I want it to be. But once you do this, now you have a record of everything. So this is like the last run that we did. So now you've got this added in, even though we did it all online without the thing. You just did it on a manual basis. As long as you want to keep track of all your things, and you'll know everything that you've done in hell or anywhere you can find. So then when you log in, this becomes your information. Is the way that I had it set up. So you see my information as a default user. But if you were to log in, everything becomes yours. So you don't see my information anymore. You don't see my blueprints. It would be yours if you uploaded them. You could search, and then you could search all of your data. So it wouldn't be searching my data. It would be only whatever you put in here for your different weapons or whatever things that you happen to find. And it won't show any of mine. So it'll do that for both the hunting and the mining. That's kind of how it was designed. So you could still kind of roughly use it to get an idea of where stuff is, kind of keep track of it, have a reference to where you can say, hey, where did I find that? You just log in and look for it. And if you tracked it, it should show it however many years later. Like I say, this is kind of like a passion project. It's not really... delete that. There we go. So it's kind of a passion project of mine. It's not really anything that I am looking to make money off of or anything. I just wanted to make a way to register and collect data and do analysis off the data, which it does in the background here. That stuff I don't really show too often because it's, I don't know, it's a lot more stuff involved with the analysis and figuring out things, patterns. But yep, that's kind of the long way around what my website does, how you can use it. You're certainly free to use it. It's not perfect. It's kind of ugly, but it does do, I don't know, it helps. So yeah, there it is. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.